Hey, Scrapper Names fans, welcome back to a Stash Down Saturday process video. And it is delayed, I apologise, it's actually going to be Sunday, but hey, it's here. Now, today I am doing an art journal process. So, I dabble, as I've said, in a bit of mixed media, but dabbling a lot more in the art journaling side of the world. So, I do have mixed media art journaling supplies, but they don't come out too often. Some do, some don't, whatever. So I have picked up some things from my stash, that stencils that I don't use a lot. I've got some collage stuff here that I brought 3-4-ish years ago. I have some distress oxides, which I use randomly, and I have some shimmer sprays that I've actually never used. So let's get into it. So as you can see, it's a double page. I am using, now I did actually be organised and write down, the distress oxides I'm using are Candied Apple, which is I think the red, Cracked Pistachio, which is that greeny colour, and Wilted Violet is the purple. Now, I feel that red was probably not, maybe it was too strong a colour to go with these other two, and you're probably looking at it going, duh, but I don't know, I just kind of went for it. Anyway, I'm happy with the end result, but yes. So, as you can see, I've just smooshed the Distress Oxides straight onto my page, spritzed some water, and I'm just getting a brush. Now, my brush wasn't really wet. I left the water that I'd spritzed onto there to do the work, and just sort of, as you could see, flicking it around with my big sort of broad paintbrush. Now, off camera, I have dried it. As I've said previously, my new design for my art craft room has my mixed media table sort of to the side, which means that you can't actually see me dry it because it's not on the camera. All right, trying a technique. It's all the new stuff. Trying a technique, I've probably only tried 2 times maybe, and they didn't quite work. But I was watching a process video from the lovely Chrissy Mannix this morning. I hope I said your name right, Chrissy. And she did this technique, and it looked pretty cool. Mine doesn't look as cool as hers did, but I gave it a shot. So as you can see, I put a thin layer of black gesso. That black gesso has been also sitting in my stash forever, and literally I mean forever. So it's potentially maybe a little bit it's thickened and started to go a bit gluggy. That may be why it didn't quite work with this baby wipe technique. Also, my baby wipes have been sitting in my craft room for a while, so they're wet or damp, but they're not as wet as maybe they normally would be. So I'm not sure, but it's given a bit of a subtle effect. I am glad that I prepared for it to not be, potentially not work, because had I covered the entire page with gesso and then not seen the actual oxide background, I probably would have been really annoyed. So I've done one side, as you can see, and then I'm doing the other, because I think the best way the baby wiping technique works is if the gesso is still wet as opposed to dry, which makes sense. It can't wipe off otherwise. I also am not sure if because this stencil is really like thin patterns, and so it hasn't worked as well as, say, that circular one, which is a little bit more wider. I don't know. But hey, it's given another layer to it. So there's lots of layers in this today. I had the idea, I don't know, a couple of nights ago, and then particularly for the black background. And then when I watched the art journal process video this morning from Chrissy, I was like, oh, I'm going to try this baby wipe technique and the layers underneath. So as you can see, using my shimmer spray, and this is where it gets, for me, so much fun. You should have seen my hands. Now, if you've seen my Insta stories, Instagram posts, you would see what my hands ended up like. They were covered in paint and spray. And to me, that is the essence of how you know you've had so much fun. But yes, so spraying this down, I did try and use some of the excess to make another sort of page as such, waste not, want not. and just trying different ways of getting the pattern to work. Now what I probably should have done just then was leave the stencil and mop up a little bit of the pink shimmer spray, but I didn't, and that's okay, whatever. But it turns out really, really freaking pretty. And I didn't think you would see the colour actually on the camera, but when I was editing this just before, I was like, oh, you can see the blue, and it has a really nice little subtle shimmer, and I love them. Don't know why I haven't used them before. And the shimmer spray, because again, I'm so organised today, was the Dylusion Shimmer Spray, Bubblegum Pink and Calypso Teal. Pink and blue, my colours. They're my jam. And I wasn't going to use pink and blue. I thought about it when I sorted this page out this morning and thought, I'm not going to use my typical colours. And that's exactly what I reached for. Anyway, whatever. All right, now using some matte gel medium, which is as well very gluggy. I really need to find me some new one. I'm struggling to have been able to find it actually, as well as texture paste. So I am using the matte gel medium to adhere all of my collage pieces. Now, these collage pieces, are they Dina Wakley? I cannot remember. I brought them, I'm pretty certain, either at a retreat or a craft show here in Canberra, I think. And as I said, they are years old. If you go back and look at some of my other art journal videos from early on, you will see probably some of these in there where I've tried to give them a go. And then these little scripty quote things, I just don't reach for them. I don't know why. They're tucked away on a shelf, and I guess because I'm not a big art journaler, and these are really funky and, very, very, art journal-y. But yeah, so what I'm doing to one side, I am doing to the other, as you can see. So the pages are balanced and they're cohesive. It's just how my brain works, I guess, too. And then, what have I got here? Oh, some tissue paper. So this was 2 bits of tissue paper. They were just lying around, floating around on my desk next to me, and I thought I need something else. I wanted to add something else. So why not? Ripped them up, chucked them on, used them up, and away we go. Otherwise, they potentially would have just annoyed me and ended up in the bin. But hey, they're on a page. So, booyah. Now, you can see, if you look, you can see the subtle sort of patterning of the stenciling and the baby wipe stenciling technique. Not sure if that has a technical term, but that's what I'm going with. Oh, now, this I guess isn't old stash, but these are the baby wipes I used to mop up some of the sprays, and I absolutely freaking love the way that it turned out. It's just like using, I guess, where you paper towel and you roll it over to dry it up a bit. And then I added the glue, and you can see it's almost given that tie-dye type effect. Now, I wasn't sure how they would work, if it would work. I've never done it before. But they've stuck on and they've adhered, and I've actually laid the baby wipes out on my table in my craft room to dry for the next time I'm, back in there and can use them, because they're a little bit damp still here. But they worked. It went on there, and I thought, well, why not? Now these. Chipboard. So, these are something that have been... I don't even know where these came from. I don't know if these came from a very original first off Kitaholic kits back in the day. And if so, that would be to probably at least 5 or 6 years old. As you can see, they have barely been touched. They have floated around in my craft room, left, right, and in drawers, on shelves. Currently, they were sitting on my mixed media shelf, and they never get used. So when I went and grabbed my art journal off my shelf today to do this page, I spotted them and went, more stash, old stash, let's use it up, let's stick them down, because they're just not getting used. And I figure, why not? So just adding these little chevrons in, and there are a couple of different sort of layers to them. I know there's like an outline to it, and then you've got the center sort of piece. I've just stuck them together. And as you can see, I'm doing a matchy-matchy, and what goes on one goes on the other side. Then some of these little ones. I do end up going really nuts on this page. I really only had a plan for what materials I was going to use, and then I've pulled in extra bits like these chipboards. And I had a bit of an idea around my background, and that was it. But it came together so well, and I loved this page. I really do love this page. I don't always have lots of art journal pages that are my faves because it's a bit new to me, and art journaling is very outside the box, I feel. It's very freeing, and I'm a bit of I like everything sort of organised and whatnot. But today this was just perfect, and it was the first project I started with because I did a big round of filming, and I started with this, and it was just great. It was the perfect way to start a great scrappy session. Yeah. Now, could have left the embellishments off the page. However, I felt like, I don't know why now looking at it, I felt like it was missing something. It just still looked too almost bare, I guess you could say. So I've dug into my stash of random bits of acrylic and flowers, again, things that have been in there for years. So still using up my stash. And as you can see, stuck some random bits and pieces down, I guess to add a bit more colour to the page. So I do apologise. I have lost a bit of footage at the end. I'm not sure what happened there. I don't think the camera died. But here are my close-ups. Oh, I did add gold splatters after I added that I Am Brave wood veneer piece. And then I think that was it. Yes, some gold splatters just to add the finishing touches. And as I said, I freaking love how this turned out, and am sitting pretty comfortable with the way that it looks and the bits and pieces I have used. So feel free, grab an art journal, grab some stash that you haven't used for a while, and jump on in and get that stash down. I will see you soon. Bye.